There is no old business for this evening. So we'll move to new business at this time. The first order of new business is to consider an ordinance accepting the final plat of Overland Park Subdivision submitted by David Garza with Barrett and Associates.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
after having a couple of discussions with Attorney Smith and with some of the other members of the council, I think to be sure that to avoid any appearance of unfairness, either to Mr. Jeton or to the process of this council, at this time, I'm going to abstain from this discussion.
All right. Thank you for that. Please, I know we know you, but please state your name for the record.
Mayor, do we need a motion for discussion? To have discussion?
Yes, we'll have to have a motion before we can discuss it.
I'd make a motion for approval.
Second.
You're gonna
Suspend the rules.
suspend the rules, otherwise there'll be no discussion because it won't be up for adoption. It'll be a first reading.
Right.
So
All
do I
right, would
need
you
to
like to
suspend the
change
rules?
that motion at this time?
Make a motion to suspend the rules?
Okay.
And do what, we're gonna do, read one time by title only, we're gonna read it for the, what, short explanation?
Short
For the
explanation.
First reading only, what,
Short explanation.
for which reading?
Okay, we have a motion to suspend the rules with consideration of reading
One.
this by
One time.
title only, one time, with a short explanation. Is everybody clear on that?
Is there a second to it?
We had a second. All right. All those in favor to suspend the rules, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Smith, thank you.
Ordinance approving the final plat of Overland Park Subdivision, accepting the dedication of the easements to the city of Russellville, Arkansas, and for the purposes this ordinance, if passed, would accept the final plat of Overland Park Subdivision, which was made and submitted to the city back on August 13, 2014. It would accept the easements as dedicated to the city that is shown on the plat, require a bond to be set, the amount to complete the improvements as approved by the city engineer.
All right.
So next in order to discuss and vote would be a motion to adopt, is that correct? So moved.
Yeah. We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All right. Time for discussion.
Yep.
Any discussion?
Is, normally don't we approve final plats when the curb and gutter are in and maybe the gravel down?
Yes, sir, if you're asking me, that's the general
Well,
procedure that we have followed.
That's what we've been doing, right?
Mr. Garza,
Sir?
Mr. Barrett, is there any particular reason why you're not at that point right now?
Without going through the entire history, we experienced significant delay, and one of the reasons right now the curbs aren't in is because the electricity is not in. We just received the approval of the design from Energy last Friday, and it would be much further along at this point, but we are, what we submitted is consistent with the ordinance, and the city is not at risk. We're
Mr. Barrett, what's the need to have a final plat approved at this time rather than proceeding with construction coming back at a later date?
Because we'd like to improve now.
Okay,
We're ready to close the bond, and it's been, we've not requested any variance. This project is, it's a need that the city has, and we're ready to get it done.
thank you.
Mr. Barrett, if we approve this with the bond, how much will that expedite the process? I know you all are paying interest, I assume, monthly. Is it going to speed it up a month, 2 months? What's it going to do for you guys?
You know, weather's variable, and construction's happening out there every day. I think Mr. Tom is working on the contractor for the electricity contract, so it's expected to start. And, you know, it's just a matter of finishing this project up. It's been drug out long enough. There's a significant investment that's in place right now. It's very well. We're not asking for anything different than hasn't been done before.
Okay, what the bond amount, it would be in to cover what specifically? I'm relatively ignorant with.
Right now, the curb gutter asphalt, gravel is not in place, and the electricity is starting. So that bond will cover those items.
And that would alleviate the risk of the city. Okay.
Let
Thank
me,
you.
let me ask Mr. Jones, I know that he may have some questions in regard to this. You have any comments or anything?
I don't necessarily have any questions, but I would just like, I'll comment on it. The project, we've gone out and looked at it. Everything that has been put in to this point has been put in according to plans. The water and sewer is in the ground. It has been tested. The storm drain is in the ground. The streets have been rough cut. There is no curb and gutter, no base. I think, Mr. Stuber, in answer to your question, and just our ordinances are not clear on what unfinished improvements can or cannot be bonded. They don't stipulate. Historically and traditionally, the city of Russellville has required that the curb and gutter and gravel be in place before they accept the final plat. And that then they've allowed bonding of the final layer of asphalt.
Mr. Jones, would approving this plat at this time, would it set a bad precedent, or would it put the city at any additional risk?
Well, I think, you know, it puts the city in a position of, you know, if assuming the bond is adequate, and, you know, this project, you know, appears to be well-funded. I don't see any chance that it will, that there's going to be a situation where the city is going to be left holding a bond and having to complete a subdivision. However, back to your original question of setting a bad precedent, you know, if the city starts accepting plats, you know, at various stages of completion, you know, at some point the city will likely be in a position where they're left with a bond and having to go out with that bond and complete a subdivision. I mean, that's, you know, that's the fact. You know, it's your decision whether or not that risk is acceptable.
Mr. Barrett, may I ask one more question? Is there a tangible reason other than that you want it, you want a final plat? Why you can't come back when construction is farther along rather than now? I mean, this is not going to hold up your construction. It's not going to speed it up, is it? Not going to really have any effect on construction, is it?
Yes, it is.
What effect? Okay.
Please state your name, sir.
John, I'm the developer for this project.
Any other questions?
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Jones, Mr. Jutan, whoever, the bond amount, the way I understand it, it's 150% of the projected expenses of what is not completed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Smith, legal recourse, legal issue for the city, is there anything that you see that is making the city susceptible or anything by doing this and having the bond and or letter of credit or both in hand?
I think that's why Section 3 is there, to try and protect the city legally about having the bond there, and it's conditional on the bond being there. The only thing you will have to note is that Public Works will need to stay on top of this, because the ability for the city to draw on that bond will last 1 year. So if the projects aren't being done by then, the city will have to make a decision. And so they'll have to monitor it. After that time's up, then it'll be gone.
So the city's time frame would be 1 year to take action on a bond or letter of credit, is that correct?
That's correct, unless it's extended by mutual agreement of the parties.
Okay. Next question, Mr. Smith. Is there any recourse for the city to hold up on issuing building permits or certificate of occupancies on a structure that is built upon the completion of these items, or until completion of these items?
I'm not sure if I understand. You're saying if there's an issue, can the city hold up on those?
No, if final plat is granted, can the city hold or not issue building permits or not issue certificate of occupancies until those items are finished?
I believe if it's granted, then they can, is my understanding, provided they also they meet the other requirements of the building code. Well, right, if they meet the other parts of the code.
But the city could not hold up on issuing a building permit, only a certificate of occupancy, correct? So
That's
if final
correct.
plat is approved and a lot is sold in 60 days from now, and it's built in 6 months from now, person is ready to build a house, can we hold that building permit if these infrastructure items are not complete?
I don't see how we could hold it.
Okay.
Again, you've got the bond there to complete those infrastructures. That's your remedy.
Okay, but the city could withhold a certificate of occupancy at that point. Okay.
I believe at that point,
I'm just asking for
yes.
clarification.
Mayor, I call for the question.
Wait, I would like to interject a statement here on this. Now, I think you've heard that, this probably will not be the case because of the financing of this particular project, that this could go awry. But I just want to say, as a matter for the record, we're not here as a city to build private developments. And there is some risk, maybe not with this individual developer, but if we set a precedence of approving this, that there is a risk that it could put the city there to do that in the future. And you've heard it from several sources here tonight that traditionally we've only bonded the last asphalt, not the curbs and gutters and the base and all of that sort of thing. Now, I know there has been some work there, but it's a long way of being something that would be occupiable. The Plat, in this instance, has more leverage than dipping into a bond or insurance or withholding a certificate of occupancy. And I think that it puts the city in a precarious position. if we begin doing something of this nature. And I've got to also say that no one, to my knowledge, from the developers, people have submitted this particular plan to Public Works or whatever. And the developer put it on the agenda themselves. I don't think Public Works was conferred with, nor myself, nor the city planner. And I do know that the water, all of the water that has been put in has not yet been approved there in my questioning of City Corp today. And there are no other utilities looking at this as of yet. So I think here again, that we are setting a bad precedence if we go forward with this in this manner. And I just want that on record.
Mr. Jones or Mr. Barrett, whoever, is there any difference between the preliminary and final plat?
Any difference in this? I'm sorry,
On this
repeat the question.
subdivision, I think a few months back, we passed a preliminary plat, or we did something
That's
on
correct.
it. And is there any difference between what we passed then and what's before us today?
There is none that I'm aware of, but I haven't, I'm not sure, I have not even seen the final plat on this project.
The final plat was given to Public Works, and they received approval on August 12th from Public Works. There's a lot of things that were said that I won't go back through. We've done what we're supposed to actually, we've gone above and beyond. Preliminary plat that went through, the construction plans will not be approved in that manner, and the developer conceded and did some additional work that was not required by the preliminary plat, but we could not get our construction plans approved as y'all approved the preliminary plat. That was the place. I'll leave it at that, but we are asking this to be approved, and this is a very beneficial project for the city. There is no risk to the city. The bond amount is supposed to be way in excess of what's going to be required for this project.
Mr. Barrett, is there any risk to the developer if it doesn't get approved and the reason that construction cannot just continue until we have gutter, curb and gutter and utility? Well, I mean by not approving the plat at this early stage, because it looks to me like I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm not really clear as to why you want it approved when there's so much left to do.
I served as city engineer and public works director for the city for 12 years. I've been involved in this type of construction and paying attention to what's happening in the city for well over 20 years. This is not the first one like this. We're not
No.
asking for anything that the ordinance does not allow. There have been cities
Interpretive.
in a much more risk-prone situation recently than what this project is. There is no risk to the city. The bond will cover any outstanding construction. I'm just confused. This is a very beneficial project. You have a local developer, we're talking local money. We're not talking outside. All this stuff is in-house. Every contractor that's been out there, except for one, that poured a little bit of concrete
course, you know, the way I look at this, if we approve this, they can start selling lots tomorrow. That's correct?
That's right.
Right.
Huh?
No?
Okay, until the bond posted, and you're saying you're gonna do that next week? No, I did not. What'd you say? Okay, but in 30 days, you can start selling lots, then, right?
Well, that's the madness. We're gonna approve this final plat, and that's gonna set the stage. That's gonna begin the process for y'all to begin to sell lots. Yes or no? That's correct.
You know,
Okay. Well,
Mr. Stewart, allow Mr. Stewart to ask his question. I like to
You
hear what
know-
he's got to ask.
you know, my concern is you start selling lots, and contrary to what Mr. Garza said, you can buy a lot, get a construction loan and start construction within a week's time. Real easy. And someone can start a house and get the house finished, and the city won't issue a certificate of occupancy, and everybody's gonna be hollering at the city. The city's holding it up, you know, if the project is not finished.
Mr. Harris, on this end, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to hear what
Okay.
Mr. Garland had.
All right. Any other questions from the bench?
You got something in the back.
Chief Cochran?
Just for clarification to address the issue you're asked about the certificate of occupancy, building permits and so forth. The fire code, in conjunction with the building code, does require that subdivision have improvements up to the point where there's a park, approved surface, water from the fire hydrants, water main to the adequate pressures and volumes and so forth. Typically, that has to be in place, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Holstein, before we issue building permits, not certificate of occupancy. The reason is that when you get really foul weather, you got a 20-ton fire truck trying to make their way down to the street. It's not saying you have to have asphalt surface yet, but hard to surface.
So, Chief
Thank you,
Cochran, that sounds to me like you're saying that's almost a safeguard on the city's part.
Keep progress report happening.
Any other questions? We had a motion.
Motion and a second to approve.
We had a motion and a second to approve. No other questions? All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We need a voice vote. Ms. Collins?
Mr. Tripp,
Yes.
Mr. Richard Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Abstain.
I'm sorry, Ms. Freddie Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Stuber,
No.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Martin Owen,
No.
Mr. Wiley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right.